Hey YouTube, 1986 Foxbody Mustang. I just converted all the factory gauge lights to LEDs, and I looked on the internet, couldn't find anywhere or any videos or anything with polarity markings on these. So one thing to note on these LEDs when you put them in, these are polarity sensitive, which means that there's only one way the power goes through them. If you put them in backwards, they will not work. So what I did is I put all the LEDs and took the sockets here out and put the LEDs in the bases. Then it had while the base was out, I cut some jumper cables here, little cables I made up, some speaker wire. And again, watch this, be careful when you do this on the car that you don't short these out or short them out to the car, because these will be live. And what I did is on these socket bases, I just I put the wire out down and if the light worked, perfect. Then what I did is wherever the black wire was, and again, when you connect this to the battery, make sure you go black, negative, the red goes to positive. And whenever the light worked, what I did is I marked the socket here with where the negative side was. And I've actually gone through here, did a little troubleshooting, had to replace a couple from how I set them up initially. So this is how the lighting goes on a 1986 Foxbody Mustang. So looking at the back, this is the top, this is the bottom. You're looking at the back, here's the speedometer cable. Gauge lights. So gauge lights, this one here, the bottom left is your negative will go to the left hand side. All right, so this part here is where you want the negative to be. On the top one here, the negative you want it to be to the bottom. These are signal lights, I'll come back to that. High beam, come back to that. So this is another gauge, running light for the gauges. The negative is on the right hand side, and you can see my little mark there on the side of the socket, and that goes there. The bottom right of the gauge light is actually here, so the negative goes into the left, and then there's one more here. All right, and this one here, the negative is on the right hand side. So if you do that, those lights will all work for you. These are the signal lights, and the negatives actually go to the middle, so that they are in like this. You can see my mark there on that one, you can see my mark on that one there, and that goes there. On the right hand side, the trouble lights, the negatives go to the right. Now, items to note, this is the brake light. The brake light, they tell you not to put an LED on the brake light, to keep the factory one on that. And I'm thinking that's probably just so that if you do get it backwards, you don't end up driving with your emergency brake on and not notice it if you wire it backwards. Best guess, but anyways. So I left my original light on that because it doesn't come on very often anyways. And okay, now the problem I had with this, they give you a high beam light, and here's the high beam indicator right here. Sorry, high beam indicator. Anyways, this is where the high beam indicator goes. And I could not get this to work on the gauges. I have no idea why. I'm thinking there's a resistor in there. The voltage must be a little lower or something. I don't know. I got the light to work in the socket, but I couldn't get it to work in there. I actually had an extra light in the kit for my green gauges. So what I did is I actually put one of my green gauge LEDs in here, and I got it to work, which is really weird. So then I went back to the high beam light, and again, it would not work. So anyways, you may have the same problem, I don't know, but the high beam indicator, the negative actually goes to the right hand side, and that will get you working on that. So anyways, hopefully that helps you a little bit as well for polarities on these. Just real quick, the next thing I'm going to be doing here is, it's pretty old, well, 35 years old. So anyways, what I've done is I've actually purchased a new cover here. So there's just four bolts come out, this comes out, and the new ones go right back in. So that's really straightforward in case you ever want to replace the lens covers on those. I'll show you what it's like inside the car real quick. This may help you when you're moving your gauge cluster. So looking from the inside of the car, obviously, item to note, my speedometer cable was so snug in behind, I couldn't get my gauge cluster to come forward enough. So what I actually had to do is I had to disconnect this speedometer cable underneath the car at the transmission. So I just pulled the little clamp out and pulled the cable out for the speedometer, pulled it up this way to give me the slack I needed to get my hand in behind to pull the electro connectors off. The electro connectors on this, for the 86, there's two of them, and there's one in the center at the back, and all you have to do is just squeeze the sides and they pull straight out. They're actually pretty easy to pull out. I was pretty surprised. And the one in the bottom left, same thing as well. I just put a T on these, just so that when I put this back together that I don't happen to get them upside down. That would probably not be good. Just to make sure I put them back together the right way. So anyways, hopefully like it helps you guys a little bit in replacing your LEDs or lights and putting LEDs on your dash cluster. And yeah, anyways, happy motoring.